You say something, and no one reacts. So you keep talking, explaining, filling the silence. And somehow, you lose even more respect. Most people think power is loud, that the person who talks the most controls the room. But if you pay attention, it's often the opposite. The people who carry the most weight are comfortable saying less, not because they have nothing to say, but because they don't need to prove anything. What you're about to understand is something most people miss. Silence used correctly isn't awkward. It's control. 1. The validation vacuum. Most people rush to fill silence. In conversations, in meetings, even in casual moments. They talk just to avoid that brief discomfort. But that habit quietly lowers how others perceive you. Because when you always fill the gap, you make it easy for others. Too easy. Now watch what happens when you don't. You ask a question. They answer. Then keep going. They start explaining more than necessary, adding details you didn't ask for. Why? Because silence creates pressure. Not aggressive pressure, but a subtle tension most people aren't used to holding. So they try to relieve it by talking more. And without saying anything, you've shifted the dynamic. 2. The high-status pause. Pay attention to people who are truly respected. Not loud personalities, but grounded ones. When they're asked something important, they don't rush. They pause, even for a second or two. That pause does two things. First, it shows they're not reacting emotionally. They're choosing their response. Second, it signals that their words carry weight. Rushing, on the other hand, often feels like you're trying to keep attention. The pause flips that. Now people are waiting for you, not because you demanded it, but because you allowed space for it. 3. Silence in tense moments. Silence becomes even more powerful when there's tension. Let's say someone makes an offer or says something that doesn't sit right with you. Most people react immediately. They explain, defend, or push back too fast. But there's another option. You can just pause. Look at them. Stay neutral. Let the moment sit. What often happens is interesting. They start adjusting, clarifying, sometimes even softening what they said. Not always, but often enough to notice. Because again, people are uncomfortable being the only one filling that space. And when you don't rush to respond, you give yourself an advantage most people give away. 4. When you do speak. Silence only works if what follows it is controlled. If you pause, then ramble, you lose the effect. So when you speak, keep it simple. Short sentences, clear tone, no rush. And avoid turning everything into a question. Statements carry more weight than constant validation seeking. You don't need to sound aggressive, just grounded. Think of it like this. Fewer words, more intention. That contrast between silence and clarity is what people actually respond to. This isn't about staying silent all the time. Forced silence feels unnatural, and people can sense that. The goal isn't to withdraw. It's to stop reacting out of discomfort. Because the moment you're no longer afraid of silence, you stop giving away control without realizing it. And in a world where everyone is trying to be heard, the person who can stay composed in the quiet is the one people start paying attention to. If this made you see things differently, subscribe